Hello and welcome to the Economic Times Security Tech Summit 2022, wherein industry experts share their views on how to manage data security, create awareness around enterprise, cyber and cloud security. In this episode, we bring you an exclusive event highlight. Our first session focuses on discovering the roadmap for a secure nation with Harkamal Singh Sidhu, National Security Council Secretariat, taking center stage.
The topic which has been earmarked for me was the discovering the roadmap for a secure nation. So whatever you want to do, when we want to trade a particular roadmap, first of all thing which you require is the vision. So in this field, the vision comes from the first man, the Honorable PM of India, who said, and I quote, "I dream of a digital India where the cybersecurity becomes an integral part of the national security." So what is cyberspace? It is any subset or the superset of the interconnected information and communication technology, hardware, software, processes, services, data, and all the systems that are directly dependent on the above for their functionality. So what we are working towards is the national sovereign cyberspace. The way ahead, issuance of the national cybersecurity strategy, it will be issued. It is already under deliberations at its final stage. National Data Governance Framework Policy, the Cybersecurity Act, we have IT Act in India, Cybersecurity Act, then capacity and capability building, training, awareness, skill development, testing and certifications, and collaboration. Collaboration is the main thing because if we really want to trade this road to the success in the cybersecurity of the cyberspace, collaborations are required. Thank you very much. I submit this.
Next up, we bring you a keynote address on creating a roadmap for data security awareness, cyber cloud enterprise by N. Subramanian, Senior Director, Corporate R&D, Center for Development for Advanced Computing.
What we see today is a whole lot of new communities and new users coming from across the country added into the digital space. How do you go about a roadmap? Is we need to again look at these perspectives like what are the motivations for us to first inculcate cybersecurity as a culture. Similarly, methods, what you want to do for identifying and protection, systems in place, mechanisms for effective detection, and of course for resilience and recovery. And then accordingly, you have a targeted training and awareness and focused capacity building program revolved around with it and systems in place. The overall roadmap, when you look at it from the nation's perspective, is to look at the coming together of the government, industry, and academia R&D labs, inculcating the competitive spirit to open up challenges and then building innovation, and needless to say about the targeted training, mapping to the roles and responsibilities, what we say about it. Thank you, everyone.
Next, we have an inaugural leaders panel wherein experts share their take on top 3 driving and restraining factors of data protection and awareness.
Jasmeet, I'm going to come to you. Your commentary on what the data protection bill will bring in, and more importantly, what would be the challenges that organizations may face?
First of all, as a country, as organizations, do we really understand what data is? What is data? How does data lead to information? How does information really leads to knowledge? And how eventually that leads to strategy and decision making and opportunities? So I think this is a very critical thing. And if I was to give a very, very basic example, we have D&D. Now, all of us, sitting here would have, activated D&D and yet we get calls. And what are the penalties? So I think my personal commentary on this data bill would be bringing it with a hammer. It has to come with very, very stronger penalties. So I think, it has to be really, really taken very stringently.
Amrish, right to know, right to be forgotten. Such changes are perhaps major changes in the system definition. How do you see that journey is going to unfold as we go forward?
Today, since privacy has come, I started from the Western world, and we realized the value of the data. And sooner or later, every country is coming up with their own privacy act, bill, etc. It is going to come here also. So my point is, it has to be thought through. Don't be in a hurry. Look at a holistic picture, because a lot of things are changing in the privacy bit itself. and keep track of it. But however, you can do what organizations are doing. What we can do today is do the basic thing, look at where your data is, how you are treating the PII data. Tomorrow something comes up, how much time you will take to adhere to the guidelines which might be applicable to you in your industry.
Ninad, what could be some of the key data security concepts that you would apply in the current scenario? As a CISO, what do you think about, what are your key control points?
In insurance, we have lots of data. And this data invariably is shared with different partners over a period. So first and the most important aspect that we need to cover out is to understand where my data is lying. Second aspect is whom they are going to share the data with. Do they have all the requirements that are mentioned in the agreement, your confidentiality clause, your NDAs, how they are going to share data, if they have subcontractings, all those things were documented. Work from home, obviously exaggerated that piece going out of my network. Users started being in part of network which was not at all secured. Luckily, we had got some solutions which helped me with zero trust, with single sign-on. That was a good aspect.
Next up, the spotlight is on redefining ERP security in the cloud age with Abhijit Katkar, partner Risk Advisory, Deloitte India, taking center stage.
For any enterprise, the core of the IT basically stands in their ERPs. And in the modern world, as the overall technology and hyperconnectivity is evolving, the ERPs, which was coined as a term in 1970s or 80s, and what shape it offers and works today is very, very different. And therefore, the security aspects of these ERPs is also very different. So what really needs to be secured? Whatever touches or is around the ERP infrastructure, that has to be secured. Now the question is really how to go about. The practical approach that we suggest to the organization is whenever you start your cybersecurity strategy journey, as an organization, you should do a security assessment. So that, I think, is a good start. So once you secure those components and put the tools in place, the journey starts onwards is to keeping a continuous watch as to what is happening, which is really the monitoring phase. And with that thoughts, I will conclude my presentation.
We bring you an intriguing tech leaders panel discussion on technology and innovation in cloud and enterprise security.
Vinod, from your point of view, you have seen the tech transformation. What you believe happened in the last couple of years from a pure transformation perspective in the enterprises and in the technology today?
I would probably set the context that what has changed, last 2-3 years. I think most of the people are definitely aware that, the pandemic has accelerated the digital transformation. But in the industry like airlines, I think you would notice that the demand supply has really fluctuated a lot. So you had to make sure that the applications, the system, the cost had to be resilient or in tune with your demand and supply situation. Second was, while it was happening, then it was work from anywhere, right? So how do you make sure that you have got the right tools, technology, protocols in place while your employees are productive, but more importantly, your customers who are actually leveraging your services as an airline, they are able to avail those services.
So Sri, over to you. From the information security side of things, what are the challenges you saw when this whole migration of cloud started?
So given the regulatory landscape and the ever-growing regulatory requirements, you cannot really move, or you could not really move sensitive data to the cloud. So first of all, it starts with kind of discovering what you have, what you can afford to move to the cloud, and what should stay on-premise or on the traditional infrastructures. Apart from that, from a threat landscape perspective, I believe for me the top 3 attacks, if I were to classify them, I would primarily start with the lack of strong identity and access management controls. The larger bit again is about security misconfiguration. Security breaches are mostly caused by misconfigurations. Yes, those have been the challenges that we've kind of steadily improving on for the past 2-3 years, and we kind of in a good place now. But I believe there is yet a lot.
Still a journey, yeah. Priyansh, so, from your perspective, when you're dealing with the cloud service providers, do you think they bring absolute transparency to the client to deal with them, and you're very clear that what is the shared responsibility model that they bring in?
Initially, a lot of applications were more of lift and shifts. Now, what we realized as a part of the lift and shift of applications, we did not really get the value of the cloud. So those applications have to be rewritten. So when we started rewriting some of these applications, we realized that the application architecture has to evolve, So let's say some of it went to SaaS. SaaS was a no-brainer. I think everything is with the service provider, and you manage the accesses, you ensure that they have the right security controls, the SOC 2 reports, and all of it is there. I think the issue lies when it comes to PaaS, platform as a service, right? Because at the end of the day, the cloud service provider, the backend is also running a similar service on the hypervisor, and they give you limited access. So it is very important to build the right framework of things. And that is something that we have been doing.
Data analytics is important, and the solution like cybersecurity can play a very major role in that, because when any threat comes or any data comes, you have to have a bifurcation in between both of them. Is it any threat or is it relevant data for you? So cybersecurity is very important once you do proper analytics or analysis on that. India can play a very major role in that, because there are a lot of homegrown application as well as the data analytic players are coming in. But same time, industry leader like us having a robust solution which can help India to grow faster and secure the world according. So we have to be proactive, we have to be relevant to the industry so that we can keep ourselves secure and same time to the world also secure on that. So if I talk about the Keysight, we have a solution. We have a solution which can help either on the network side of if you are having a corporate network or even a vehicle side of that. So we have a solution which can be a automotive security solution which can help industry to be secure on that.
India is actually the 6th most breached country in the world today. Having said that, on an average, I think we generate almost around 2.5 quintillion bytes of data on a daily basis. And the belief is that, by 2025, there will be almost around 151 zettabytes of data which will get generated. Now, in order to manage this extent of data, protect this data, store this data, and regulate this data, there has to be some level of technology intervention. Otherwise, humanly, it's really impossible to really understand what to do with this data. Having said so, in terms of the frameworks which are being created, I think the focus has been to really look at a very comprehensive enterprise level security protocols for organizations today in order to manage the kind of exposures, especially cyber exposures which Indian companies are going through. And there is going to be a huge amount of investments which organizations will do, both in technologies, processes, as well as people.
I think it's important for us to ensure that we think through a data perspective. For a long time, we were talking about whether my data is on a laptop, desktop, whether it's on server. From the last few years, we're talking about whether it is on cloud, how it goes. So it is important that all these phases are covered. Many times I see a gap that when people are moving on the cloud, they don't think about, what about the device where the data was already there. So I think the next big thing would be to have solutions which cover the entire portfolio of devices through a data perspective. Where is my data flowing into an organization, which all devices, which all types it has gone to, and based on that, the solution covers everything. And it would apply to all the security products and applications. You need to have products which think through a data perspective and not through maybe just a platform perspective. That's what I feel will grow.
Welcome back. Moving on, we have Manish Gupta, Head Enterprise India and SARC, Keysight, and Badri Narayanan Srinivasan, District Solutions Engineering Manager, Keysight, to shed light on building a foundation for Zero Trust Network Security.
We are almost
more than 8 decades old in this industry. Once we become an independent organization in 2014, in the lesser than 8 years, we acquired almost 15 organizations which help us to strengthen our solution. We have a solution from layer 1 to layer 7. We can have any and every kind of a testing for our customer. So customer success is a core and heart for us. Whatever we do, whatever we plan, whatever we build, we always keep customer success in our mind. This is our leadership model where they want to say everything has to be driven in terms for the customer success only. I welcome Badri Narayan to just have a discussion how Keysight can help to build zero trust network security for your organization. Badri, over to you.
What is zero trust? Right? We all know that. We cannot, trust no one, verify all mindset is what is the main paradigm here. It is a set of guiding principles that can validate users trying to access any kind of business resources. So if you look at the challenges, security teams are not well prepared, or there are legacy network which requires a lot of attention. Security teams need better visibility, incident response capabilities, etc. So that's where the zero trust approach has to be, it has to establish trust in every access request, no matter where it comes from. That should be one of the guiding principles. And secure access across your application and protecting the business from advanced threats. So in conclusion, Keysight can provide you a complete visibility solution, visibility and security solution. And as we discussed, it's a team sport. It is built on the existing infrastructure along with a different cultural mindset. It can be approached in two ways, which is zero trust visibility and zero trust validation. Thank you.
Up next, we bring you a CISO panel discussion on the cybersecurity threat landscape, learning how data can be more private, available, and secure.
So maybe, Pawan, I'll start with you. How do you see the context building of data in the business context?
The data is fuel for any organization. That is incorrect, because now the real-time data is the real fuel for every organization. That has changed now. Now, if you look at it, if we go back not too far away, let's start from the COVID itself. We were never ready for this. None of the business was ready. The focus was only to keep the business up. But the focus on data was never there, because we were working in a restricted environment. We ever thought that whatever is there in the organization is always secured. The moment COVID hit in, everything changed. Suddenly, if the first priority was to bring the business up. Then slowly and gradually you realize, okay, there is data as well in the organization which has been accessed by many people. How are you encrypting that data, and how are you ensuring that that is getting stored at a secured place, and second, being accessed by restricted people, right? So these are some of the challenges which were there, and every organization might have looked at looking at deploying tools and all those things to restrict that out. We also gone through that particular journey and put certain tools and restrictions there. But the importance needs to be focused upon is the change of business which had happened. Suddenly, from a closed environment, we moved on to cloud, hybrid, private, public, whatever it is. You may name it, but eventually the functionality is going to be the same. Now, given that, how will you restrict all the data? The threats have also changed during a period of time. But how are we protecting ourselves? Can we say that are we 100% sure? No, we are not. And nobody can guarantee you that. The things are evolving. Things are evolving at a fast pace. The data availability becomes a major concern. The data accessibility becomes a major concern.
And then, Manish, to you, your is financial services. How much is the compliance and the regulatory environment triggering your need, or it is the business need? How do you strike a balance between the two? Because pressure from both the sides.
Cybersecurity framework is a very good tool to start with. My view maybe is that until you're clear with the different stages of attack, you cannot position a solution. While making that cybersecurity framework, you should be aware of what is the different life cycle of the attack. What are the different stages this attack will come into, number one. Number two is, what is the overall cybersecurity matrix looking like? So what puzzle are you trying to solve using a tool? So maybe that understanding, if you have, and then that understanding put down in a cybersecurity framework, and then designing the solutioning accordingly, in terms of maybe increasing order of risk, right? So highest risk addressed first, and so on and so forth. That would be a correct way of maybe building a cybersecurity or deployment overall in the organization.
In our last session, we have a fireside chat on enterprise security and its modern challenges and innovative solutions.
From your perspective, what does this security aspect mean for the extended enterprise, which every organization is leveraging to service customers?
When you talk of extended enterprise, you mean the enterprise at the core plus all the service providers who are providing some kind of services to these enterprises. So obviously, it's quite clear that if the enterprise has to be secure, then they have to take care of who are the people who are supporting them. What is the security preparedness of these service providers or vendors or whatever you call them. And in a connected world, obviously the enterprise would be as secure as any of their channel partners, service partners, vendors, or whatever you say.
Now, in a hybrid kind of an environment, where organizations are giving flexibility to employees to work out of anywhere and everywhere, in addition to that, the very fact that there is a lot of focus on moving to cloud. Now, how do you see this situation really impacting, the security aspect of organizations?
So these changes which have come recently have brought in a peculiar situation where people are accessing not only from various places, but also from various devices. Each of these devices at times may not be entirely in control of the organization per se. So there are challenges, and in IT industry, as you know more than me, people come up with solutions as well. So there is also a plethora of solutions around the same situation, where we harden the endpoint. Mobile devices are some way being controlled by the organization. So that's how perhaps life is going to be going ahead. And as we progress, perhaps solutions also will keep coming for these kind of things.
A lot of noise around the fact that malicious actors are leveraging artificial intelligence to penetrate networks, etc. How are organizations responding to the emerging technologies which are being used by these malicious actors to really penetrate businesses, or I would say security walls of organizations?
What you mean is about the good guys and the bad guys. So the good guys were the ones who first probably started using artificial intelligence to manage their security. Yes. Then came the hackers and the likes, who also started using AI to mount their attacks. So the challenge would be to confine yourself or your artificial intelligence activities to ensure that it does only what you want and blocks everything else which comes in. But then the challenge, human challenge, is also there. It's ultimately the people who are running those tools are the ones who are going to matter. We have to keep training the cybersecurity personnel. They are the ones who have to keep coming with new solutions. There are solutions coming up which are doing ethical hacking using AI and all. So probably these are the new entrants who will address this issue.
So thank you very much. I hope you found this session interesting.